Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about questions to ask yourself to feel alive again. And what does that mean? It can mean if you're feeling burnt out or maybe numb, or even feelings of depression or going through depression. And a lot of the times when we are feeling numb inside or depressed or we're going through a phase, we ask ourselves many questions naturally, like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel stressed out? Why can't I get it together? We tend to ask ourselves questions that don't benefit us or that don't help us out and actually just end up digging ourselves more into that hole. And as we know, depression specifically, there's usually 3 stages typically with people. At first, it just starts with the feeling, losing interest in stuff, things of that nature. And then the next stage is usually more of an anxious, more active depression where we'll be more emotional, crying, or a lot more anger, a little bit more reactive, and it's more like a spiral. And then the final stage of depression most of the time is when we go into this numb feeling where we could feel empty inside and we don't feel basically alive anymore. And that stage is very hard for, of course, many people to get out of because it is the hardest stage. And in that stage is when we tend to just ask ourselves questions and we just stay there most of the time because, as you know, depression does look different for everybody, but most of the time when we reach that last stage of depression, we stay there for a very long time because it feels uncomfortable. And that's the first question you need to ask yourself is, what feelings am I avoiding or what actions am I avoiding because it makes me uncomfortable? So it depends what level of depression you are at. But let's say you're at the point of depression where you don't even want to, let's say, go on that run that you usually do, that usually makes you happy. And the reason you don't want to go on that run is because you have this uncomfortable feeling of, what if I don't enjoy it? Oh, what if I feel worse? Or just the thought of it, you dread it. But you thinking about it is causing you more of an emotional wound than just actually doing it. So focus there is, what actions or feeling am I avoiding because it makes me uncomfortable? A lot of the time, it's our thoughts that make us more uncomfortable than the actual action. When we actually do it, many times we're like, oh, it wasn't that bad than I thought. The thought is more scary than the actual action. And we realize in that moment, like, I can actually do this. And when you have repetitive moments of that, when you push through that uncomfortable feeling of doing what you need to do or want to do, you tend to get out of that stage of depression much more faster, because when you reach that, basically that last stage of depression where you feel numb or unalive, the only way to really get out of it is by action. You literally cannot get out of this stage without physical action. And that's the first step you need to do if you want to get better with depression, is action, physical action. And another question you can ask yourself as well is, am I aware of what I'm actually feeling? And another question on top of that question is, are these emotions coming from my childhood or from my past, or are these emotions coming from things that are happening today? So if it's from your past, at least you're aware. And if it's from today, at least you're aware. Awareness is one of the steps you take to get out of depression as well. When you're aware, you're able to help yourself and have a clearer vision on what you need. And that's the other question you need to ask yourself. And a lot of my coaching, we do this where I ask questions to make my client think deeper in what they need and what works for them, or things they just might not have thought about. So a question you can ask yourself: what emotions did I feel a lot in my childhood when I felt hurt? An example of this could be, let's say you had a parent that judged you all the time. They judged you on the way you looked, on the way you talk, on the way you behave, right? And focus on what you feel when you're typically depressed. Do you still feel that fear of judgment? Or let's say it's shame. Let's say you had a parent when you were younger that constantly shamed you for the way you do things, the way you talk, the way you feel. Let's say they shamed you for, let's say, being upset. They shamed you for how happy or excited you was. Just shamed you, right? Do you tend to feel those emotions when you go through, let's say, a depressive episode, or when you feel anxious? Do you still struggle with those emotions today? Because it's most likely is still a wound from your past, from your childhood. And when you have that awareness, you're able to help yourself, like, okay, well, yes, I feel judged and I feel shame about feeling sad. And I feel like if I tell somebody, they'll judge me because of X, Y, and Z. When I grew up, my parents made me feel shame about X, Y, and Z, or judge about X, Y, and Z. And when you have that awareness, it makes you feel alive again. It makes you feel human again. It doesn't make you feel like a robot. It makes you realize, like, these emotions are not coming from just nothing. They're coming for a reason. Right, so we're going to stick on the topic of being self-aware. And another question to ask yourself is, am I doing nothing at all recently, or am I doing way too much? And the reason why you want to ask yourself this: when you spend all day doing absolutely nothing, you are not giving yourself a reason to be happy. You are not giving yourself a reason to feel alive. Because when you're dead, you're nothing. You're doing nothing. So if you do absolutely, or just you go throughout your day mainly in bed, or you don't do anything physical really, you are literally already dead but breathing. So that's why it is important to have some sort of physical activity, or do a hobby, or do something with your day, or create a routine to feel alive. And then another question you can ask as well, if you're somebody that does way too much: are you checking in with yourself? Are you giving your time to recover from the things that might cause you stress? And are you pouring way too much into other people's cup that you forgot to pour into yours? A lot of the time, especially women or mothers, they are focused on taking care of everybody else's needs, that they don't even pour into their need because they are so tired by that time to pour into themselves. And like I always say, when you are a very busy person, try to at least focus on one thing that you can eliminate from your life to make time for yourself. So if you are somebody that does nothing at all and you tend to find yourself in bed, I understand. Being depressed or feeling numb, it is very easy to lay in bed. And I have experienced this, especially when I was a teenager, where you're just depressed and nothing excites you, nothing feels good anymore. The things you used to once love, you don't love anymore. It is a very hard thing to do, but if you want to get better, you need to do a physical action to get out of that. And you need to remind yourself that you are deserving of life, a happy life. At least tell yourself that one thing when you are going through that moment. For the people that do struggle to get out of bed, ask yourself, is this how I want to live my life for my younger self? Or let's say you have siblings, you can ask yourself, would I want my sibling to live this way? Would I want them to feel the way I feel? No, most of the time, no. Or when you ask yourself, does my younger self deserve happiness? Do they deserve love? Most of the time, you realize, yeah, they do. That younger self is still you today. That baby, that person, that child is still within you today. You were just an adult version. That's it. There's really no different. You've just grown. But that person that you was 10 years ago is still you today. You just have expanded. You still deserve to be happy. You still deserve to be loved. And if you have grown up in a toxic household or environment, or experienced people that made you feel in love, or you experience an environment where you feel like love was impossible, that doesn't mean that it has to be true. And that's another question you can ask yourself, is the thoughts am I thinking benefiting me or helping me? When you have a negative thought, you could just label it, or you could even name it actually. If you have, let's say, a repetitive thought like, I'm fat, right? Let's say as women, oh, that's like a common thought, right? And maybe we feel that way, or it's a common belief for us because, let's say, maybe you had a parent or something like that that called you fat, or maybe you were bullied or something like that. When that thought creeps up to you, you could literally just label it as thought. And you're like, I have this thought because of what I've experienced, but that doesn't mean it's true for me anymore. So you're recognizing it, you're aware of it, and you're allowed to let it go. Or you can name it as well, so it's not true to you. So I'll just use the name Becky. Oh, Becky's creeping in on me again. I don't need her opinion. Just let it go. You're not avoiding it. You're not suppressing it. You're being aware of it. You're naming it. You're not giving it any value. You're just naming it, and that's it. You're aware of it and you're letting it go. So that's a question you can ask yourself as well. Are the thoughts am I having benefiting me, or are they helping me? And what thoughts can I replace with my negative thoughts? So let's say, I'll use me. I'll use an insecurity of mine, my lips. So, let's say I don't really have this, but let's say I have like such ugly thin lips. Let's say I had that thought all the time. I could just be like, actually no, I love my lips because it's the same lips that I got from my dad. So therefore I love my lips because one day he won't be here and I'll have some recognition of him through my face. I don't know what that is actually. I'm looking at it. Okay. But yeah, you could replace your thoughts, and this might not work at the beginning, but over time it will. You have two options. You can either name it or you can either replace it. But never try to just suppress, because it doesn't work. And you even do this through meditation, where you, a thought, let's say negative thoughts come by, and you just let it go by. But you just label it as thought. You're going to see this a lot in meditation practices, where they'll tell you if a thought comes up that is not helping you or making you anxious, you're not going to ignore it, you're just going to label it. Alright, so another question you can ask yourself, and I think this one will really help you feel alive again, is what used to make me feel happy when I was a child? A lot of the times when we are depressed and we're feeling numb, we tend to forget what makes us happy because we don't feel happy. Everything just seems black and white. And we tend to forget, or we lose interest in the things that bring us joy. For example, me. When I used to be depressed when I was a teenager, I lost interest in music and TV and talking to my friends and even working out. And I love working out. You know what I mean? I lost interest into everything, and I just didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to be around nobody, and I just wanted to stay in bed. But when you really get back into your childhood and you ask yourself, what brought me joy as a child? For me, it was physical stuff. Like playing, like physically running around, I don't know, like I was just a very physical child. Like I loved to run, I loved to play sports, and I also did like to color a lot. Color, arts and crafts. Like my mom knows this. Like I used to bug her all the time to like take me to the dollar store, like 99-cent store, so I could get like these arts and craft packages. And I was just so into them at like a very young age. And even like in middle school too, like I used to watch like videos of like how to do arts and crafts and stuff like that. And at some point in my early teenage years, I got into like more like drawing and painting. And then also like in my early like teenage years slash preteen years, I got into like yoga and like spirituality and stuff of that nature, and learning about holistic health and so many stuff like that. Like those were my hobbies, those were like my passions, and those are the things that I enjoyed as a child. And as you see, just from me, you could really get into it and you feel some sort of actual excitement and like maybe some good memories as well from those things. So let's say for you, it's maybe you used to like to play video games, or you used to like to do, let's say, makeup on your mom, or play dress up, or you used to, like, for example, like my little sister, she used to like record videos and do like little hauls, and she didn't do it because of like, oh, you know, doing money. She did it because she generally found joy in that, or like playing with toys and stuff like that. Find something from your child that you enjoy and literally do it today or implement into your daily life. But yeah, I hope this video helps somebody, and if you need any coaching from me, my link will be down below. I work with people on working on their identity and their confidence. But yeah, until next time, peace out, you guys.